Okay, good morning again, everyone. This is part 3 of the lecture for today. This will be covering the yellow page ad assignment that we're going to be working on today. You will be converting some images in Photoshop and then bringing them into InDesign, placing them on the page, adding some text, formatting some text, based on some yellow page ads. So if I scroll down here at the bottom, these are the 2 yellow page ads that you're going to pick one of them and redesign one of them creating a more updated version. Okay, as you can see, this is from probably the 70s, 50s, 70s, sometime around there. I'm not exactly sure. But we're going to design this, create a more updated version. I'm going to give you some graphics, some photographs, a logo, and we're going to be recreating one of these yellow page ads. Okay, so this is the assignment page. You're going to find it under the modules. So let me go to the modules. So we have the InDesign introduction, which I explained in the first video, where you're going to find some links to videos for you to watch. One from Adobe. It's going to go through the different aspects of InDesign a little bit more. It have some videos and then some source files that you can download. And then these other YouTube videos for you to watch at your own pace. Okay. And then the PDFs down here for you to review. And then here is the assignment page. So InDesign yellow page ad. Before starting this assignment, please review the InDesign introduction page, which contains several PDFs that explain creating text frames, using text, and placing images in InDesign. And it's everything I'm going to explain here in this lecture video, but just for you to get a little bit more information there. If you're more of a, if you learn a little bit better on a text-based thing as opposed to a video, some of that information there will help you as well. The yellow page PDF there explains has the same instructions that are here in Canvas. If you would like to download that, you can. Again, it just worked. Don't know why. Yeah, there it goes. Okay, so it gives you the same instructions that it does on the Canvas page here. So you will be creating a modern version of one of the 2 yellow page ads below. I have provided a logo and several photos for each ad for you to use. So you're going to decide which one you're going to do, whether it's the beauty school or the pizza restaurant. And you're going to download those files. In those files, in those folders, you're going to find some images, a couple different images, a logo. You don't have to convert the logo. We're just going to leave the logo as is, but the images themselves have to be converted. So you kind of just look at them. Once you unzip the folder, you kind of look at the images that are in there and you decide how many images you're going to use. You have at least one image should be used. You can use more, but a minimum of one image needs to be used. Okay. And then we're going to create a new document in InDesign. And then this talks about the steps, how to get things onto the page. So again, I had mentioned in the first video that I think InDesign is probably one of the easier ones easiest applications to use, but the difficulty comes in with you deciding where things are going to go on the page. Okay, so InDesign is not going to help you with that. You know, InDesign is not going to tell you to where to place things on the page. You are going to decide that based on if it's something you're designing for yourself, or if you're designing it for a client, they're going to kind of tell you where things are going to be. So they're going to have a specific place for their logo, a specific place for the text, graphics, and that kind of thing. All right, so again, InDesign is fairly easy to use as far as getting stuff on the page, but it is up to you then at that point where you want to put things on the page. Okay. And again, these two images here are the samples of what we're going to be working on. So you're going to pick one or the two, one or the beauty school or the pizza place. Now, when you're looking at these pizza or these two yellow page ads, there is a lot of information in here. But you do not have to include all of that information on your ad that you're designing, okay? So for example, on the beauty school one, there is quite a bit of information on there, but usually now less is more to get people into your place of business. So at least having the name of the business, the phone number, where you're located, and maybe a couple of your services. You know, if people are looking for a beauty salon, they want to know what you do over somebody else that may not have that particular specialty in their salon. And then for the pizza place, you know, with the change in things in the last 2 years, there's been a lot more delivery services. People might not necessarily want to go into the pizza restaurant. So you may want to make sure that you highlight that there is free delivery or delivery within a certain area. And then maybe, you know, phone number and address. And then, you know, maybe what kind of pizzas they sell. Okay, so those are some things that you need to think about before you are designing the ad in InDesign. Again, you do not have to include everything that is on the original yellow page ad, only what you feel is the most important. Okay. All right, so let me go ahead and hide this. So I can unzip the files because I already downloaded them. Okay, so let me go back over to, okay, so I'm going to start in Photoshop. So we're going to have to convert the images that you want to use from RGB to CMYK because we're creating a print document. So anything RGB is for the screen. Anything that's CMYK is for a printed document. You could also do the ad in black and white if you want to, but I prefer that you convert your images to CMYK. Okay, so I'm going to go to file or go to open here on my start screen. I'm going to go to my desktop where I have the images saved. So wherever you have your images saved, you're going to go ahead and open those. So I'm going to do the pizza restaurant. So in there you will find 5 images. I've included the logo as well. And then that pizza.jpg at the bottom is the original ad. Just a version of JPEG version of it so that you can see if you want to open it and see it from there or switch back and forth to the Canvas shell, you can do that as well. The only images that need to be converted is image 1 through 5 if you choose any of those. And again, the same thing with the beauty school. There are 7 images there. Those 7 images are the only ones that need to be converted. Nothing else needs to be converted in Photoshop. Okay, so anything that says JPEG, .jpeg, that has to be converted in Photoshop. Okay, so let me go back to the pizza restaurant. And I'm going to look through the images briefly to see which one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go with this one for the pizza because I want to showcase the pizza in the ad. Okay, so I'm going to open up that image. And then I'm going to go under the image menu mode. And right now it's checked as RGB. That's the color mode of this image. I want to change it to CMYK. So right below that, it's going to give you this dialog box asking you, are you sure you want to do it? You say yes, click OK. And then right here in your file name tab will tell you that you converted it to CMYK. Okay. You want to make sure that it says CMYK there in your file tab. And then you're going to go to the file menu, save as. Down here at the bottom of that window, you're going to see where it says format. You're going to click on that and you're going to scroll up to Photoshop. And you'll see up here in the save as field here, it will now say .psd, and that's your clue to let you know that you're changing it to a Photoshop document, as well as this down here where it says format. And then I'm going to click save. And then you can see up here in your file name tab that is now changed to .psd. Okay. So I'm going to switch over to InDesign. And I'm going to create my new document. I'm going to click on the print tab. Okay. And then I'm going to switch back over to Canvas. And right here are your settings for this particular document. So we're going to do a 5-inch by 6.5-inch document. So again, first thing I'm going to change is my units to inches. Always change your units to inches first thing. Then I'm going to type 5 in the width, press my tab key till the height is highlighted. And then I'm going to type 6.5. And then I press my tab key again until I get down to columns. And let me double check over here. It says 2 columns. So I'm going to type in 2 columns there. And then the margins are going to be 0. So when you are changing your margins, if you know that all 4 sides of your document are going to be the same size or same inches, you're going to make sure that this little lock here is checked together. And if I put a 0 in one of the tabs or the top one of the fields and press my tab key, all of those fields now will be filled with 0 because this little lock here is connected. If it wasn't connected like that, then I can put a different size, a different margin in each of those fields. So if I wanted to do 1 on the top, 3 on the bottom, 1 on the inside, and 2 on the outside, then I could do that. But in this case, I want the margins to be the same on all 4 sides. So I'm going to click on that little lock so it's connected. And I'm going to put 0 in there because I want no margins on this page. Okay. So width is 5, height is 6.5, 1 page, 2 columns, and then no margins. So you're going to put 0 in the fields for all of those top, bottom, left, and right. And there will be no margins at that point. And then 2 columns. And then if I move this away, you can see my document here. Okay. So then I'm going to click create. And there's my document. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my image. So I'm going to place my image. Remember, the only way you can get an image into InDesign is by placing it. You cannot open a Photoshop document. You cannot open an Illustrator document. You can only place it onto the page from the file where the folder where you saved it to. Okay, so I'm going to go to the File menu, Place. The keyboard shortcut is Command D or Control D, whether you're on the Mac or the PC. Okay, so that's about halfway, not quite halfway down on your menu. And then I'm going to go to the desktop where I saved my files. So I'm going to go to InDesign, and I'm doing the pizza restaurant. So I'm going to click on the pizza restaurant, and I'm going to look for the .psd that I saved. Okay, so we're going to place the PSD files. I'm going to click open. And once I do that, it's going to load my image as a thumbnail there on the screen. Now you can have InDesign you're either going to tell InDesign how big you want the image to be, or you're going to let InDesign decide. And all that, when you let InDesign decide what size that image is going to be, it's all going back to what size the image is originally. I didn't go over resizing images in Photoshop, mainly because if you're working with print, you don't need to necessarily resize them outside. But I'm going to tell InDesign how big I want this image to be. Okay, so I'm going to hold down my mouse and I'm going to click and drag, and you can see it's creating the frame. And I started too far over to the right, but I'm just going to go ahead and hold down my mouse, keep dragging till it's roughly the size that I want it to be. And then I'm going to let go of my mouse. And then I'm going to come up here on the top edge of the image and move it up to the top corner. Okay. So InDesign, so the image is now inside of an image frame. Okay, so that's how I'm moving it. If you hover over in the middle, you'll see the little target, and then your arrow turns into a hand. And what that allows you to do is that allows you to move the image within the frame. Okay, so I'm moving the image, but that blue line is staying stationary. Okay, so I'm repositioning the image within the frame, not the frame, excuse me, not the frame itself. If I want to resize the frame, I'm going to use my arrow tool, selection tool, come on one of the handles, and then resize the frame. I have not resized the image, only the frame. This is cropping part of the image out. It's not removing it, it's just hiding it in the frame. So think of in Photoshop when we were doing the layer masking, where it was temporarily hiding things that were on the page, or the parts of the image that you didn't want visible at the time. So the same thing here. This is just cropping out or masking out part of the image that you don't want. Okay, so I can, move this up here if I wanted less of the image at the bottom, or if I move it back down, then the rest of the image appears. Okay, so that's resizing the frame. If I want to resize the image, I'm going to go to my free transform tool. Hello? Yes, sir.